What if the evidence to solve a murder was always there, but the technology didn't exist yet? It's an investigation, often involving brutal violence, where every lead has been followed, every suspect questioned, and every trail has gone silent. For years, sometimes decades, these cases sit untouched, leaving families without answers and communities without closure. But today, technology is changing that, and one fingerprint can be enough to rewrite history. In the past, solving a cold case depended almost entirely on human memory and limited records. If fingerprints didn't match anyone locally, investigators hit a wall. That all began to change with the rise of automated fingerprint identification systems, powerful national databases that can compare unknown fingerprints found at crime scenes with millions of known records in a matter of hours. One of the most important breakthroughs was the ability to search latent prints, fingerprints or palm prints, that are invisible to the naked eye but left behind when someone touches a surface. These prints don't fade with time. They wait. In 1979, in the city of Riverbend, Iowa, a 60-year-old man named Martin Keller was found stabbed to death inside his apartment. Investigators believe the killer tried to clean himself afterward. The bathroom sink, mirror, and door frame were covered with latent fingerprints and palm prints. Keller's car was also missing. Police carefully collected the evidence. Days later, the car was discovered abandoned in another state. Despite their efforts, investigators found no matches in local or state fingerprint files. They even reached out to neighboring states, but nothing came back. With no suspects and no new leads, the case went cold for nearly 3 decades. By the late 2000s, law enforcement had access to a nationwide fingerprint system containing tens of millions of records, a tool that simply didn't exist when the murder first happened. After a renewed inquiry into the case, forensic technician Emily Carter decided to resubmit the old latent prints into the modern database. What once would have taken months or been impossible now took just hours. Within the same day, the system returned several possible matches. After days of careful comparison, one name stood out: Richard Nolan, a convicted burglar currently serving time in another state. Detectives reopened the case and assigned it to veteran investigator Mark Reynolds. As Reynolds reviewed the original evidence, he noticed something overlooked for years: a handwritten note on an old flyer with the initials RN. Even more unsettling, Nolan had once lived only a few blocks from where Keller's stolen car was found decades earlier, and the timing couldn't have been worse. Nolan was just days away from being released from prison. Reynolds traveled out of state and obtained a court order for a DNA sample. The results were definitive. Nolan's DNA matched biological evidence recovered from the original crime scene. Combined with the fingerprint identification, prosecutors finally had what they needed. More than 30 years after the murder, Richard Nolan was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. On the exact anniversary of Martin Keller's death, justice was finally served. This case is not just about one crime. It's about how technology, policy, and public investment in law enforcement tools can give victims a voice, even decades later. Cold cases aren't unsolvable. They're just waiting for the future to catch up. If you believe justice should never expire, subscribe for more stories where technology brings the truth back to life.